Nobody ever uses Venomoth, and I just gotta say I don't know why. Fella's a bug poison type, which is weird and not great, but it also doesn't have good stats at all, with base 90 special attack and speed being its high points. So you're thinking, why would this thing even be good at all then? And just hold on a second. It's got a few nice weapons, first in the form of its ability, Tinted Lens. This makes it so that not very effective attacks deal double damage, basically making it that so nothing resists this thing. Its true saving grace is its access to Quiver Dance to set up special attack, speed, and special defense by one stage. If you're not prepared, Venomoth is gonna make you pay. We can fire off stab sludge waves, big old bug buzzes, or even its surprise weapon, Terrablast Ground, for great coverage. People seem to have forgotten about the OG Moth, and so we're gonna make this thing pop off. One thing about the all-terrain Venomoth is that it's been doing the same thing for as long as I can remember, but it'll still absolutely body you, and despite that, no one even uses it. It's still at like the lowest possible usage tier, and we love ourselves some Venomoth. So we're gonna show some love to this thing today. If that sounds like a good time to you, you should hit that subscribe button. I'm always trying to highlight some underused Pokemon, and with that, let's go ahead and jump into the match. Alright, so my opponent is actually going to decide to lead off with the Shaman. I did not expect to have to deal with the Hedgehog as a lead. As I've got myself in Iron Treads, I'm basically just here to set up Stealth Rock. While I know this thing does have potential coverage with an Earth Power, I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I can take one of those with a Focus Sash. I'm just here to get my rocks up, and this little fellow over here, Shaman's crazy. It's a hedge, it's a Hedgehog, it's literally a hedge of grass. It's ridiculous. Regardless, they do go for the Earth Power, and that hurts. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe this thing is choice specs. And as I consider switching into Dragonite, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to lose my multi-scale if they do end up switching it up here. So I'm just going to end up going for the Earth Spinner, the Ice Spinner. We spin some ice up on him, and that's going to do over half. I figured the chip is always pretty valuable on the thing. As Shaman's, it's actually relatively, it's not as easy to kill as you'd imagine. Freaking Mythicals with their base 100 and everything. So, at this point now I get a free switch in, which gives me, it feels like a little bit of momentum. I got my Stealth Rock up with the Treads, probably could have conserved it a little bit better. But this feels like a pretty good time, or as good a time as any to bring in the Abomasnow, who is here to set up some snow basically just to allow me to Aurora Veil. And this team really benefits from having that extra bulk. So, they realize that, you know, Shaman has no business staying in on the Abominable Snowman, and they decide now to switch into Scizor, which is not ideal. Scizor is, you know, obviously scary, thinking this thing could be Defog, which would be really bad for both my Stealth Rock and my Aurora Veil, but if it's, you know, something like a Swords Dance setup, that could be bad as well. So, one thing I can do that works really well is just go into Alomomola. Now, this is the bulkiest damn fish, thing as thick as a bowl of oatmeal, especially behind an Aurora Veil. You're really not going to be able to do much to it. So luckily, turns out they go for the Swords Dance, probably means it's not going to be more of a bulky kind of support variant with Defog. So as they set up a Swords Dance, that is fine. Now look at this, +2 Swords Dance, X Scizor, X Scizor, does nothing. Literally, hardly scratches the thing. Allows me that, and then to fire off a Scald, and I get the burn. So, God, this fish is just doing disrespectful stuff to people. And honestly, it's kind of just rude of me, but... They take Rocky Helmet, they get a burn. At this point, I can go for a flip turn, thinking they're probably going to swap out themselves. They are going to go for a U-turn, which works out nicely for me. They get a little bit of chip, but I can just always regen that back with my Regenerator ability. And now as they bring in a better matchup, I'm just going to flip turn immediately out and figure out something to do. So they're going to end up bringing in the Palossand. Also, shout out to Shiny Palossand. This thing is sick as hell. It's too bad it's very hard to get it to work. But as I go for a flip turn, it does activate its water compaction, so it gives it a defensive boost, and I also take some Rocky Helmet chip. But I can get out of there. Alomomola can then, you know, just regenerate some HP, and we're back to being pretty damn healthy. So look, oftentimes with Venomoth, you really benefit from finding a situation that, you know, you can really take advantage of. And obviously with this thing being bulky on the physical side, I figure I can go into the Venomoth here and set up Quiver Dances basically in the face of this. I figure they probably want to set up a layer, set up a Stealth Rock here, or potentially just go for some damage. With the Quiver Dance up, behind an Aurora Veil, +1 special defense, that the Earth Power does nothing. Venomoth is like, oh, did you do something? I didn't even notice. I eat a little bit of leftovers, and my big-ass bug eyes are feeling ready to go. So, I have one Quiver Dance, and honestly, in this position, there's kind of no reason not to go for another one. I'm going to set up a second Quiver Dance, and now we're giving Buddy a free dance show over there. So, his little shovel is spinning on his head. They decide since they're not able to get good damage, they just set up the little stealth rock there. So that's going to be, you know, fine with me, because that gives me now 2 free quiver dances. And that's a bad place to be in if you're on the other end of big old flappy wings over here. We're about to try to go crazy. So now I can go for the bug buzz. While it is resisted with +2 with the quiver dances, that is going to be able to take care of it. Honestly, it does not even matter if you resist. Venomoth with its tinted lens, it always just does way more damage than you think it does. So that takes care of the sandcastle, which is great. They get the rocks up, but honestly now they've got a big old bug-sized problem to deal with. Now they decide to bring in their own bug here. They go back into Scizor. Of course I'm faster than everything. It can potentially bullet punch, but I mean I'm behind an Aurora Veil, and I can just bop him one. They do hit me with a bullet punch, and it doesn't do anything. You're feeling like 50 Cent over here, gets shot 8 times, hardly does a damn thing, and then I finish with the bug buzz, and we're just throwing resisted hits out here. So once again, you let Venomoth get 2 quiver dances up, you're gonna have a bad time, especially after I get a little bit of leftovers. It's lunchtime and we're healthy as hell. So trying to see what they want to do to deal with this thing is not, they don't have a lot of options. But as my Aurora Veil wears off, that's when it's kind of to a point where they can start to do a little bit of damage, at least on the physical side. It's kind of their best bet. They decide to bring in young shoulder pads, and Armarouge, luckily with the Stealth Rock, has no Focus Sash intact. And while I don't have anything super effective other than a Terra Blast potentially, I figure with 2 special attack boosts, a Sludge Wave just takes care of it. Don't even need to use the Terra. Keep that one in the back pocket. That takes care of Armarouge. And Venomoth is absolutely doing it to him. This thing is honestly slept on. It could also sleep you with potential Sleep Powder. It has a lot of options, kind of a more 4-move syndrome kind of guy. You could be running, you know, Giga Drain on the thing for heals. Always that potential, you know, for Sleep Powder. But actually nowadays it's even better than it used to be. It doesn't have to use hidden power for ground coverage anymore. We can just full on bust out the Terra ground, and that's exactly what we're gonna do to this fighting ass Pikachu over here. I figure, you know, this seems like a good a time as any to go for it. They also have a Terra in their back pocket, so I'm kind of concerned on what they might do to be able to potentially live an attack. So I put the Earth on my head. We're looking re-damn ridiculous. And as I fire off the Terra Blast, thankfully they do not have any Focus Sash potential because of the Stealth Rock. And we're absolutely putting him in a body bag with the Venomoth. Listen, this is one of the guys that you can always rely on putting on a team, and oftentimes it's going to do more value than you expect. So not only do we take that thing out, but we get a satisfying back to full HP from the leftovers, and now they're down to just 2 Mons left. The main thing I'm worried about is Primarina. Well, of course I can't just kill this thing with a Sludge Wave. What I'm a little bit concerned about would be potential for a Terra Steel, and then hit me with a water move. Turns out they're just going to head out. Buddy is afraid of the Venomoth. They probably just don't have the defensive Terra. And the crazy poison bug shows him what the hell is good. And that's pretty satisfying. So, well, that was a pretty fun one. We also are now going to bring us in. This is going to bring us into game number 2. Because you know how we do it around here. Look, if you've stuck around this far into the video and you're enjoying it, if you think it's worth a like, hit that like button for me. It does help out the channel. YouTube is like, hey, cool. People want to see this stuff. So maybe they'll promote the channel. Who knows? With that, let's go ahead and jump into the game. Alright, so this time from the lead, I was feeling a little bit crazy. I was thinking from Team Preview, I see a Great Tusk over there, which is why I lead Alomomola. Turns out, I am about to get my ass mowed, because as they lead off with a Rotom-Mow, that's not really ideal. They can at least hit me with a strong Thunderbolt, potential for a Volt Switch. But one thing I know for sure is they're probably going to go for an Electric attack. I Volt Switch if I'm in this position. So I decided that's a decent risk for me to switch into the freaking Iron Treads here. That while they could have gone for a Leaf Storm, which would have been bad, they do Volt Switch, pays off, and now I just get off a little Stealth Rock for free, which is always good. So Rotom-Mow, I always keep in mind, I feel like it's generally going to be something choiced. It could be potential Trick, it could be Choice Scarf, but regardless, they now bring in their own Tusk. They got the Great Tusk. I've got just average. I would say I got some average Tusks over here, but they're definitely not anything too crazy. While I do get my Stealth Rock up, they have a couple options. Either they just go right for an Earthquake. They could set up their own Stealth Rock. They could Rapid Spin. Moral of the story is, if there's one fish who wants to deal with this big bastard, it's going to be the Hate Disc. Not Love Disc. This thing is absolute Hate Disc, because it's just pure evil. So they go for the knockoff. They don't do any of the things I expect. Gets rid of my Rocky Helmet, as they do take a little bit of damage from that, which is nice. But I don't care how helmetless I am, this fish is still in a pretty good spot to click a free Scald. I'm hoping maybe they stay in here, and I think I overpredict with a Flip Turn, which I was considering going for the Flip Turn, but I clicked the Scald just on the off chance that, you know, it helps things out. Clicking Scald is never a bad idea. A free burn every now and again, we take those. But they go right back into the freaking lawnmower, and it's an interesting stalemate of a position here. So look, I'm thinking that they probably click Leaf Storm or just the electric attack here. Regardless, as they go for the Leaf Storm, it's going to end up working out for me nicely, as I kind of thought that maybe they would overpredict. As they just Leaf Storm, now I'm looking at the game thinking, or at least when I'm doing highlights like this, I know that Venomoth potentially has a good spot to set up here. And honestly, just bringing it in on that position is the first step, and really it can get out of hand just pretty easily. So now, sacrificing the fish for the revenge switch in is going to give me a lot of momentum. That's because with that special attack drop, that Rotom cannot touch Venomoth at all. So this is going to allow me to get a free Quiver Dance, and as they bring back in the Great Tusk, I know that while I don't have anything neutral to hit it with, it doesn't even matter because of the tinted lens. So I get up a Quiver Dance, and that's step number one. Immediately I figured, Great Tusk is a pretty obvious switch into this, but with the amount of times it's taken Stealth Rock, I'm easily able to knock this thing out with a resisted Sludge Wave. Look at it. As long as it's not like specially defensive, and it's not, so that's going to take care of the big purple roly boy, and Venomoth grabbing resisted kills is just so satisfying. And now we get to see how far we can take this thing and see if we can get it going. So we grab a nice little kill there. Now they're able to bring in the Dragonite. Does not take Stealth Rock, reveals it's going to be heavy duty boots, but that also means it's going to keep its multi-scale intact, which is annoying. So here's the thing, I had a little bit of a scare of thinking, what if this is going to hit me with like a Fire Blast, if it's got a Fire Punch, something like that. I want to make sure that this Venomoth is safe at all costs. So I go for the Terra Ground. Probably not a super useful move, but I'm kind of all in on the Venomoth at this match at this point to do as much as it can. So as I go for that Terra Ground, turns out they're going to Terra themselves. They go Terra Normal, which, literally every damn Dragonite in the world is running because of extreme speed, but it puts a diamond on its head. And as I hit it with a Sludge Wave, Multiscale is going to be able to drop the damage quite a bit, but I get the Poison, which is always a fun little treat on a 10% chance. So you get the Poison, which is great. And the Dragonite's feeling pretty confident against its Gen 1 bug-type little guy that thinks this thing, it has the element of surprise of being like, no one expects much out of it. So they Dragon Dance there, which is great for me because I don't take any unnecessary damage. And I should be able to live a +1 extreme speed if that's what they want to go for. Now, as I click Sludge Wave again, I know that it's in range to kill since it doesn't have multi-scale. As they don't extreme speed, the Venomoth makes them pay. And we came to collect today. That's going to... we're collecting souls with the Venomoth. So that's going to be a dead Dragonite, extremely satisfying. I'm over here ground type for no reason, but at least they know I have the Terra Blast, or at least have the option to Terra Blast. And as they bring in the Empoleon, it's not Air Balloon, and I'm like, hell yeah, I can freely hit him with the ground type Terra Blast. They're probably like, yep, they should have seen it coming. I have the coverage thanks to the Terra, and Empoleon has no chance here. That's gonna be a dead ground type watery boy. And once again, Venomoth just proving why this thing deserves your respect. It's over here just way better than you ever think it's gonna be. So look, here's where it gets interesting. In comes the Rotom again, and if it's Choice Scarf, it could outspeed, and guess what? It is. It goes for the Leaf Storm. Able to outspeed, even with my special defense boost, the stab Leaf Storm is able to take care of me, and that's kind of going to cut the sweep short a little bit. I thought we had the second body bag just in the bag, but it turns out Venomoth goes down unexpectedly, and now we got a little bit of work to do to pull this game through. So look, here's the situation. I've got 4 left. They are now down to 3 Mons. First, they have this Rotom, obviously, that's given us problems. Then they have a Slowking, Galarian form, and then they have an Alolan Ninetales in the back. But we actually are able to capitalize on the switch-in on, the special attack drop Rotom again. We're going to make them pay for those Leaf Storms. They hurt. They get kills, but we get ourselves a good momentum position after that. So, as I go for a free Dragon Dance here, I figured the Galarian Slowking is a pretty obvious switch into this. Now, most Salazzle are just going to be special attacking, obviously, and then also most Galarian Slowkings are just bulky on the special side, too. So, as I get up a Dragon Dance, probably not what they expected. And this is an interesting matchup, because while I cannot kill this thing with just one Dragon Dance and a Flare Blitz, most of the time they don't have psychic coverage other than things like Future Sight, so I might be able to take an attack from it. Now, as I go for that Flare Blitz, I just need the chip regardless, and it turns out they do just go for the Future Sight, which is great, because that just gives me a little bit of a timer, but still, we can do enough damage to hopefully open up the game to clean things up for us. So one more Flare Blitz could kill, and they also don't have anything that can switch into that, so I'm freely just able to click the Blitz one more time. Physical Salazzle is actually kind of sweet. That takes Galarian Slowking out, which is always a pretty annoying threat, so that thing being out of the way is amazing. And now we have one more turn until the future sight touches us, which I have the potential to switch, but at this point, I might as well just get the value out of it. Now, as they go back into the road, and we know that this thing is scarfed. You can't see that fucking scarf he's wearing, but it's there. And I realize that at +1 speed, Salazzle is faster. I got a built-in Choice Scarf with my Dragon Dance, and a Flare Blitz kills it, which is sick. So down goes their fastest Mon, and arguably the biggest threat at this point. And as I take some more recoil, the future sight does come through, and that's going to take care of me. So down goes Salazzle, but we did exactly what we needed it to do. We take care of the 2 Mons. Now all they've got left is going to be the Alolan Ninetales. And while I don't have a direct, easy answer, the best thing is definitely going to be the Iron Treads. Now ordinarily, I kind of mess with the moveset on this thing a bit. Iron Head is obviously something that I tend to like mess around, like move around. And at this point, I do not have steel coverage, which would be great. You're looking at this Ice-type fairy thinking, yeah, steel would just, you breathe on this thing with a freaking steel move and it dies, but I don't have it, so I'm forced to go for Earthquake here as my highest damage. Now they do outspeed, and it turns out their best way to touch me is going to be Freeze Dry, so we can take 2 of those as Earthquake doesn't finish it off. All I've got to take is 1 more Freeze Dry and I don't get frozen, and we don't, luckily, which then allows us to fire off another Quake. That's going to be the end of the game, so I thought that was a fun one. Venomoth looked like it was going to go on another body bag, but we got stopped a little bit, but still an amazing fun time with the bug, and I just always really liked that thing. I've literally been using Venomoth pretty much the same for like since Gen 4 battles. It's pretty wild, but thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate all the support as always, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.